student, I'm Mr. Lan. So in this video, we are going to talk about the long questions in Chapter 8 assignment. So we talk about question 10 first. Question 10 is a short question for matching. So you are given three types of blood cells, lymphocytes, blood platelets, and red blood cells. And then you need to do the matching for the functions involved in blood clotting, oxygen transport, antibody production, phagocytosis, and transporting hormones. So actually, it's a level 1 question. We call the functions of the blood cells only. So actually, you can refer to the table in the textbook, and then I think you can do the matching very easily. And I would like to spend some time on talking about the level 2 questions. Level 1, just recall the function, okay? And the level 2, you need to explain the adaptive features of the blood cells, okay? Why do the red blood cell not contain nucleus? Why are the red blood cells biconcave this shape? Why are the white blood cell irregular shaped? Or why do the white blood cell become mature in the lymph nodes? So that's all the thing to explain something, but not just recall something or to describe something, okay? So that's the different level of difficulties in biology, okay? For the level 1, simply, okay, you memorize something and then you can answer. But for level 2, okay, you really need to adapt the concept. For example, we know that for the red blood cell, okay, inside the red blood cell, it contains hemoglobin to carry oxygen. So why do the red blood cell not contain nucleus? The simple idea is that because without the nucleus, so the red blood cell can spare more spaces to carry more hemoglobin and then to carry more oxygen. So that's the adaptive features of the blood cells. Okay, so that's why you really need to spend some time on summarize all the concept, okay, and relate the adaptive features, okay, to the blood cells. And then for question 12 is about the heart structure. So you are given a section, okay, of the heart, okay, and then before that, okay, I would like to tell you some skills, okay, of observing or analyzing the heart structure. So for this part, okay, the first idea is that you really need to tell me which part is the left hand side or the right hand side of the heart. So for this question, okay, it's very good because it gives you the name of the blood vessel already, pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. So technically, you should know, okay, the heart, okay. On this side, it should be the right hand side, okay, and in this side should be the left hand side because you know the name of the blood vessels, okay. But what if you really forget, okay? Pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, okay. So where are they? Okay, where should it be? On the right hand side or the left hand side? So I have some method for you, okay. So the idea is that we need to identify the right and left side of the heart by using the thickness of the muscular wall, okay. So the first idea is that on the right hand side of the heart, okay, the muscle wall thickness is thinner, relatively thinner than that, okay, of the left hand side of the heart. So after we know that left hand side or the right hand side, we can identify all the blood vessels, okay. So for this part, pulmonary artery, and for the other part should be the vena cava, and on the left hand side will be the pulmonary vein and the aorta, okay. So just like the good practice, okay. So this question, okay, it gives you the names of 2 blood vessels and then label A for 1 unknown vessels, okay. So what about if all the 4 blood vessels, okay, they just name it A, B, C, D or X, Y, Z, W, something like this, and then ask you to name the blood vessels, okay? It will also be a questions, right? Okay, so identify the blood vessels, and after that we can identify the blood content. Oxygen, oxygenated blood or deoxygenated blood, something like this, high CO2 or low CO2 concentration, okay. So that's why you can also identify the blood content. after you know the blood vessel, the name, okay? And then you can also identify the blood flow direction. Oh, aorta, pump the blood to all body parts except the lungs. Pulmonary artery, pump the blood from the heart to the lungs, something like this. So that's a series of skills, okay, for examining the heart structure. And also we have the valves, okay. In this part we do not see the valves in details, but maybe in these pictures, okay, or on the left hand side we have the bicuspid valves, okay, and then on the right hand side we have the tricuspid valves, okay, something like this. So you can gather some skills, okay, for analyzing the heart structure. And then we go to the question. Question A, name the blood vessel labeled A. I gave you the answer already, aorta. Okay, so that's why that's how good to be. We have the good practice, the name first, to do the labeling first. Okay, and then for the second one, give one difference in the composition of the blood in the pulmonary vein and the pulmonary artery. Blood content. You need to identify the blood content as what I mentioned. So, first of all, determine the blood flow direction. Pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. Okay, pulmonary vein receive the blood from the lungs to the heart. Pulmonary artery carry the blood from the heart to the lungs. So we call the function of the lungs gases exchange, and then you can compare the oxygen or the carbon dioxide content of the blood. So remember that because it's a comparison question, so we need the complete comparisons. Okay, so 1 mark. And then you can see I give you 2 sentences here because I want you to write down these 2 sentences for me. If you can really identify the blood composition correctly, you can earn 1 more bonus mark. Pulmonary vein carries blood with more or less oxygen than the pulmonary artery, or from the point of view of carbon dioxide, to compare the concentration, the pulmonary vein carry blood with more or less carbon dioxide than the pulmonary artery. Okay, so you know the name, and then you know the blood flow direction, and then I think you can know that which blood vessel is carrying oxygenated blood or deoxygenated blood. Okay, and then for part C. Part C is talking about explaining how a blockage in the coronary artery can lead to a heart attack. So the question is asking the cause. The cause is blockage in the coronary artery, and the impact, the effect, okay, is heart attack. So the keywords how, that means how is the blockage in the coronary artery link or need to, okay, to the heart attack. Okay, how can these 2 facts, okay, can be linked together, and then explain. So the first idea, okay, just take a look in the textbook. Coronary artery supplies oxygen and nutrients to the cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle, that means heart muscle, okay, and then coronary veins carry carbon dioxide and other waste away. So the main focus will be the red one, coronary artery, right? Okay, so coronary artery is the artery carrying the blood away from the heart to the heart muscle. So think about how is the blood flow to the heart muscle if the arteries are blocked. Imagine, okay, just like a water pipe, if it's blocked, okay, so any water can come out. Okay, so it's a very easy idea, I think. Okay, so I give you the answer framework. Okay, so you just pick up the correct word for me, will be fine. Okay, so for 2 marks, how many do you need to answer? Okay, so first of all, if the coronary artery is blocked, so more or less blood flow to the heart muscle. Pick up the more or less, and then more or less glucose reaches the heart muscle. More or less oxygen reaches the heart muscle. More or less energy released by the heart muscle by respiration for muscle contraction, for pumping, heart pumping, boom, 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 boom. Okay, so more or less energy. Okay, and then heart muscle dies, and then it leads to heart attack. So the whole framework, okay, is just help you to explain how the blockage of the coronary artery will lead to heart attack. Okay, so most of you may skip 1, 2, 3, 4 these 4 statements and then simply just say that, oh, if the coronary arteries is broke and then heart muscle will die lor, and then it needs to heart attack lor. So you miss the key point, why the heart muscle will die. You need to explain, and that's the explanation. Okay, so pick up the correct word more or less in every sentences and then construct the whole answer for me. That's this part C. And then question 13 is talking about the lymph, okay, the formation of the tissue fluid. Okay, so we have the capillary here, we have the plasma, they are forced out to outside of the capillary to form the tissue fluid. Okay, and then some chemicals will go to the body cells, some chemicals will go out of the body cells, go back to the capillaries, and then some of the tissue fluid will go back to the lymph vessel and then finally join the blood circulation again. So part A, describe how tissue fluid forms. Okay, so just like in the MC, you recall this picture again and again. Arterial end capillaries. Okay, and also this paragraph can help you to answer this question. Describe how tissue fluids forms. Okay, technically, it's the whole paragraph. At the arterial end of the capillary bed, the pressure of the blood in the capillaries is higher than the pressure in the tissue fluid. High pressure, low pressure, remember the golden rule. Okay, so that's why some of the plasma will be forced out of the capillary to form the tissue fluid surrounding the cells. So that's why this forces some components of the plasma, for example the small one, remember, okay, the small one, water, mineral, sugar, lipids, and hormones, okay, the small chemicals, okay, out of the capillary wall to form the tissue fluid. Whole paragraph, answer the question, easy idea. And then part B, part C. Part B is talking about the chemicals which move in the direction of the arrow A and arrow B. Arrow A, okay, some chemicals will go to the body cells, and then technically your body cells, they need useful substance. So give me some example. Okay, and then chemical B leave the body cell and go back to the capillary, so it must be the waste. So give me some example. Okay, I need the name of the chemicals. Okay, so that's why please don't just answer useful substance lor. Name one chemical useful substance. Useful substance is not a name, it's a category. Waste is not a name, it's a category. I need the name. Okay, and then part C, explain why plasma proteins are not found in the tissue fluid. So I just want you to recall the thing about the size of the plasma protein, large or small, and then to make it cannot go out of the capillary. And then also recall the permeability of the capillary wall. We talk about in MC is differential permeability. Something big cannot go out, but something small, they can go out. So recall the size of the plasma protein. It will be a very easy idea to know the answer, and actually you can find it in the textbook. Plasma proteins, red blood cells, and blood platelets are too large to pass through the capillary walls. They remain in the blood. Red blood cells, however, can squeeze through the capillary wall because they can change the shape, right? So that's why the composition of the tissue fluid is similar to blood, except the absence of the red blood cell, blood platelets, and plasma proteins. So you tell me why the plasma proteins, they cannot go out of the capillary wall and they remain in the blood. Okay, easy idea. And then last question, question 15, is talking about the blood pressure. Okay, so in the graph you can find that the blood pressure of blood vessels at different locations of the pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary circulation, that means it's a circulation between the heart and the lungs. the heart pumps the blood to the lungs, and then the blood comes back from the lungs, go back to the heart. That's a pulmonary circulation. Okay, and according to this graph, A, B, C, D, E, the blood vessels, and then y-axis will be the blood pressure. So you can find that blood vessel B, the highest blood pressure, and then blood vessel A will be the lowest blood pressure, something like this. Okay, A, B, C, D, E. So A1, using the letters A, B, C, D, E in the graph, construct a flow chart, okay, to show the direction of the blood flow from the heart along the pulmonary circulation. So that's why I give you the starting point, heart first. Once the heart pumping, boom, 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 okay, so which blood vessel will receive the blood immediately after the heart? Okay, so remember, use the arrow to demonstrate the flow chart. First one, arrow, second one, arrow, third one, arrow, fourth one, arrow, fifth one, okay, something like this. Okay, so that's part A1. And then part A2, state the criterion. Okay, that means how can you judge? Okay, the order will be like this: heart, and then arrow, and then boy, and then arrow, and then blah 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 blah. Okay, how can you know it? So we call the concept we learned in chapter 7 the golden rules, right? Okay, no matter the water flow, air flow, or even the blood flow, okay, is just along the pressure gradient, okay, from higher air pressure to lower air pressure, higher water pressure to lower water pressure, and higher blood pressure to lower blood pressure, from high to low. Okay, so that's the criterion. So for part A2, okay, the criterion will be the blood flows from a do pressure region to a do pressure region. I think it will not be that difficult for you to answer this. Okay, so just remember, once your heart pump, bum bum bum, okay, it will generate a high blood pressure, right? So where will they go? They will just go away, okay, anywhere of lower blood pressure, right? And then for part B, it's talking about the blood pressure of two of the above locations show rhythmic changes in the blood pressure. That means it will be high, will be low, high, low, high, low, high, low. Okay, so a rhythm. Okay, so just you need to explain how these blood pressure changes are related to the heart activity. So the question is talking about the heart activity can affect the blood pressure. Okay, that's how. Okay, so you just explain how the heart activity will change, will affect the blood pressure. Okay, so first of all, you need to talk about, or you need to think about the blood pressure change according to the flow chart. Okay, according to the flow chart, heart, arrow, B, arrow, blah 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 blah. Okay, so actually the blood pressure, how does it change? Okay, keep rising or keep dropping. Okay, and then second one, you need to think about the pumping force origin. That means the heart. Once the blood is pumped out of the heart to the lungs, okay, so actually which blood vessel will receive it? It will be the pulmonary artery, right? Okay, and then by the contraction of which heart chamber? By atrium or ventricle, by the right atrium or right ventricle, or left atrium or left ventricle. Okay, so thirdly, after the ventricle contracts, it will relax. Okay, the heart muscle contract, relax, just like pumping, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so how is it related to the blood pressure change? If the heart contract, okay, it squeezed, boom, and then high blood pressure, right? So what about the heart muscle relax? So that means the blood pressure inside the heart will become lower, right? Okay, so I give you the answer framework. When the certain heart chamber, atrium or ventricle of the heart contracts, and the blood is forced into which blood vessel? Okay, you give me the name, okay, or use the ABCDE, okay, to identify, okay, which blood vessels, and then resulting in the increase or decrease of the blood pressure. So remember, the heart contract, boom, okay, so resulting in the increase or decrease of blood pressure. And then second one, blood in the artery flows forward along the blood vessel while the ventricle of the heart relaxes. As a result, the blood pressure will rise or drop. Okay, so when the heart relax, so the blood pressure rise or drop, you tell me. Okay, so that's the answer framework. And then for question C, state 2 blood components responsible for killing specific pathogens in the human body. Pathogens, that means the microorganism can cause disease, can infect you. Okay, so maybe the germs, the bacteria, the virus, something like this. So just recall the cells, okay, in the book. Recall the 2 types of cells, okay, the red blood cell, and then recall the chemicals produced by the red blood cells. Okay, I need the name, I need the name. Don't just write down red blood cell. Okay, you have the name phagocyte, lymphocyte, and then recall the chemicals produced by the lymphocyte. Okay, 3 answers. Okay, although it's talking about 2, if you can answer me these 3 answers, I give you 1 more bonus mark. Okay, and then question D, immunity can be acquired by vaccination. Vaccination, that means we inject the vaccine, the process, inject the vaccine, okay, to the body, and then we gain the ability to fight against the pathogens. That's the concept of immunity. Immunity is the ability to fight against the pathogens. Okay, so the vaccine may be injected into the tissue under the skin. So that means the vaccine, they are injected in the tissue fluid instead of the blood vessels directly. Okay, so that's why later on the vaccine, they must go back to the blood capillaries after injection. So that's why the question is talking about the removal of the tissue fluid to carry the vaccine back to the blood circulation. So that's why what do you need to describe to me is that describe how the vaccine can be transported to the heart after injection. The removal of the tissue fluid, and in the tissue fluid we have the vaccine inside. So how can the vaccine, okay, be transported to the heart after injection? So the answer framework will be like this. The vaccine injected reaches what fluid? The name of the fluid surrounding the tissue. I think this name is extremely easy. The fluid surrounding the tissue. I just want the name. Okay, what type of fluid here? Okay, so which will drains back, that means will go back, will return to the lymph vessels or go back to the lymph capillary. That's okay. For this statement, the underlying one, you just copy it, will be fine. Okay, I just want you to tell me the name. Okay, which will return to the lymph vessels. Okay, finally, the vaccine will return to the heart through which blood vessels? I need another name here. So that's the answer framework. Okay, so if you have any problem, just leave it below. I will answer you as soon as possible. See you next time. Bye bye.